this would be a good opportunity then to take some questions from them.
Thank you. It's natural and understandable that you are concerned for the safety of the people who are doing the filming. But it occurred to me that you're also showing the faces and we're hearing the voices of people who are being interviewed, the villagers, etc. And I just wondered to what extent you were afraid, continue to be afraid, the very fact that you're going to be showing these people on screen puts them in danger of some sort of punitive action by the authorities to discourage us to participate in this sort of thing. Is that a concern?
No, it's a very, very serious concern. If you notice, some of the people, for example, who are blurred, including even the guy who washed, the little guy who washed the little boy in the Christian orphanage, that was because we were very clear about asking people's views about whether they wanted to be seen or not. We also then took our own independent view about whether those people should be shown or not. And we also took, importantly, we took DUB's advice on each person and everything that each person said. So we took it extremely seriously, even with the children, you know, because I mean, in a dictatorship, you don't know what you're going to say that's wrong. So you're absolutely right. What is incriminating? The fact that the device has gone bad could be seen as a criticism of government in a dictatorship. I mean, the world doesn't make sense in that country, really. So we were very, very careful, and we were very, very clear with the people who wanted to speak about them being seen. The monk, the woman, there were many others actually who didn't make it into the cut, and all of them were actually very clear and very keen that we did show them because they really saw this as a chance to actually speak. There were cases, I think a couple of the monks that we had an earlier cut, where monks had said something very political.
Yes, we were
and he was like, I don't care, you know, I'm a Buddhist monk, life is transient, they can come and get me if they want. It's like, yeah, that's all very well, but we don't want to be the reason you get out of prison. And we went against his wishes and learned it. But with this material, we basically, all of the material that was said in here actually are things that have been rebroadcast back into Burma by DVD. For example, this was our sort of final cross-check. So if somebody complains about the rice harvest or something, it's funny, but you can sort of get away with it. There's a red line that they know that if we cross, you can be in trouble, but we didn't cross it with these people. To me, it's the basic one.
I suppose the people who actually really were facing the punitive sentences were the people who were operating the cameras 15, 20 years for just not sort of, I think it's the electronics.
Electronics law,
who's filming with that kind of it, really. But that said, I mean, I think in any film like this, there's always a risk, and you know, it's a tricky one, isn't it, really, because you have to weigh up, I suppose, the balance between trying to tell a story and the risks of the participants. So there's, I mean, I don't think you can reduce the risk completely. But I think as we know that they are still safe, I think that's...
everybody's sort of safe. I mean...
But they're still working, the same camera, they're still working in
one of them the main guy who did the Orphans has left, is in Thailand. The guy who filmed the sisters at the salt mine, he's still inside and filming and going really well. He's fine. Another one who filmed the little Mo and the boys, he's still inside. He's okay. He's safe. Who else? Sam is outside.
The kids are still fine.
The kids are fine. All I can update is the young girls decided that the salt farm was just one step too much and they moved to another village. So I do know that, for example.
How does the money get through to the Christian current group you share? Because they appear to have a lot of food, which was such a
very good point.
relief.
Yes, it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
It goes through basically through, there are Korean Christian organisations on the border in Thailand. There are a number of Christian organisations that Partners, for example, one group, if you've ever heard of Partners UK, Partners International, there's an umbrella group of Christian aid. They will funnel the money through Korean networks and it will get inside to the Delta, basically. That's how. Yeah. It's all very covert,
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons why they had to be a little bit careful. We deliberately didn't show the proper, I don't know if you probably can say this, but the wide shot of that orphanage is not actually the orphanage. So we deliberately made it somewhere else.
And we were very, I think, deliberately unclear on the geography. So and actually, if there was anything specific, then it was often specifically not.
That's right. So all those shots, if you are all inside. The wide shot is actually somewhere else. So we deliberately did that to try and give it some protection because that's what they're worried about. You know, the government sees that as a threat.
Which is very much the theme as well. Timothy Garton actually, like I quoted earlier, sort of changed all the geographical details. Emma Larkin did the same. As did a certain George Orwell back when Burmese Days was first published. It was published in the States before it was published in Britain because he had to change some of the geographical locations. There's a question right at the back.
Yeah, well, what, if any, reaction have you had from the authority? The first question. And second, with the elections coming up, hopefully fairly soon, next 6 months or so, will you be going back, will you be following the Orphans, or will you be taking new council, or is Burma gone for you now, do you think?
Well, Burma's never gone for us, that's the thing. Once it sort of gets its hooks into you, you sort of, I've found that you continue, one project goes on to the next one. I'm actually involved in a project right now, which is looking at certain secret military plans to sort of consolidate their hold on power, basically. It's not a very human story like this one, it's more about what they're up to. So I'm working on that one. Jeremy's always involved because we've now become friends after this project, so there's no escape for him either. Gavin's now involved, as you all are in Burma, because we've all seen inside. And the first question was the reaction of the authorities.
Any reaction from the authorities at all? You know, I mean, it means propaganda or?
No, the only thing that we know is that they are hounding the DVB network.
In Norway?
In Norway, well, they're not having them there yet, but they don't really have that reach, we don't think, although we're not sure. But they are hounding the DVB operatives inside the country, and they are as soon as they arrest one, effectively they torture them to then disclose who they know within the network, and they take them out to events and they get them to identify who's the DVB operative. And they'll go and arrest that person, or they'll go and raid their parents' house and arrest their parents. So it's a very nasty game, and that pressure is increasing as the election draws nearer, because the last thing they want is actually an independent news service. Not so much going to the outside world, because they don't really care, actually. They don't really care about this. It's more about what happens inside the country.
Okay.
So,
I think there is a connection with them. I'm not sure it's still there now, but the response of the military sort of junta at the outset of the cyclone was very much actually relating to this set of elections in a way, because at the time there was a sort of referendum organised by the government, and
that's right, it was focused on that, wasn't it?
Yeah, kind of slightly got in the way as far as the military junta were concerned. That this, at the very time that it was sort of looking for these rubber stamp kind of elections, where 99.9% of the population sort of vote in favour of the referendum that's coming up. That actually 99.9% of the population couldn't vote because they've been completely displaced by the cyclone.
There was a beautiful moment we had in Russia we couldn't actually use it, where there was a Burmese state TV, it was very Orwellian again, Burmese state television news of the referendum results. They had a man, so they had 3 pink rubbish bins all about this size, and one had yes, one had no, and one had maybe on it, I think. And he showed on the news, he went and picked up the maybes and went like this, shook it upside down, it was empty, and then he should have picked up the yes and showed it was full, it was full, and picked up a no, and held it upside down, nothing in there, so you can see that Burmese people are all supporting the referendum for military rule. Good night.
The state television stuff is really worth a look at. It's in terms of its Orwellian qualities. It's really,
And it seemed like one of the sort of bravest moments of the film from the camera, to capture the Prime Minister coming to visit.
It was slightly lost in the film, but what they do is they broadcast those events on state TV, but without the sound. So what happens is they'll say the Prime Minister visited refugees from the cyclone tonight, and it's silent. And you see the Prime Minister doing that. But actually what we got was the recording of the conversation, which was the piece, and they're saying, don't worry about it, go back to work, go back to your homes, still will be fine. Yeah, that was brave.